Learn English with Rose and Leo podcast. Hey everyone, welcome back to Learn English with Rose and Leo. I'm Rose, and today's topic is a big one, something that everyone's talking about lately, artificial intelligence, or AI.
Hi, everyone. I'm Leo. And yes, this topic is everywhere, from schools to social media, even in English learning apps. AI seems to be taking over the world. But the big question is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Exactly. Some people say AI is making learning easier and more fun, while others think it's making people lazy or even replacing real teachers. So today we're going to explore both sides, the good, the bad, and the really interesting stuff in between.
And I have to say, Rose, as teachers, we're kind of at the center of this whole debate, aren't we?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just last week, I caught 3 students using ChatGPT to write their essays. 3 in one class.
Only 3? You're lucky. I had a student turn in a homework assignment that literally started with, as an AI language model, I cannot. He forgot to delete that part.
No, you're kidding.
I wish I was. I actually showed it to him and he went completely red. He said he just copied and pasted without reading it.
See, that's the thing, though. Is that cheating? Or is it just bad use of a tool?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And I don't think there's a simple answer.
Right, because if a student uses a calculator to check their math, we don't call that cheating. If they use Google to look up a fact, that's research. But if they use AI to write an entire essay,
Then suddenly, everyone's panicking. But I think the issue isn't the AI itself, it's how students are using it.
okay, so let's back up a bit. For anyone listening who isn't super familiar with AI, let's explain what we're actually talking about here.
Good idea. So AI, or artificial intelligence, is basically computer programs that can learn and perform tasks that normally require human intelligence. Things like understanding language, recognizing patterns, making decisions.
And the type of AI that's really exploded recently is something called generative AI. That's AI that can create new content, write essays, make images, compose music, even code.
The most famous one right now is probably ChatGPT, which can have conversations and write pretty much anything you ask it to.
And that's what's freaking teachers out, because suddenly students can just type, write me a 500-word essay about Romeo and Juliet, and boom, they've got an essay.
But here's my controversial opinion. Maybe that's not entirely a bad thing.
Ooh, okay, I'm listening. Explain.
Well, think about it. When I was in school, if I wanted to write an essay, I'd go to the library, look up books, maybe use an encyclopedia. That was using tools to help me learn.
Sure, but you still had to read those books and synthesize the information yourself.
True, but then the internet came along, and suddenly we had Google. Teachers said the same thing. Students would just copy information from websites. They won't learn anything.
And they did copy information from websites.
Some did, yes, but we adapted. We taught students how to research properly, how to cite sources, how to think critically about what they read online.
So you're saying we need to do the same thing with AI?
Exactly. Instead of banning it or pretending it doesn't exist, we should teach students how to use it properly.
Okay, I can see that. But what does properly mean in this context?
Well, for example, using AI as a brainstorming tool. If you're stuck on an essay topic, you could ask AI to suggest some ideas. That's not cheating. That's getting past writer's block.
Or using it to check your grammar. I actually have students who use AI to proofread their writing. And honestly, I think that's fine. It's like having a very smart friend read your work.
Exactly, or using it to explain difficult concepts. If a student doesn't understand something from class, they can ask AI to explain it in a different way.
which is actually really powerful for language learners. Sometimes I explain a grammar rule and a student just doesn't get it, but then they ask AI to explain it with different examples, and suddenly it clicks.
So AI can be like a personal tutor that's available 24/7. That's pretty amazing when you think about it.
It is. But here's where I get worried. What about students who just use AI to do all their work, who never actually learn to write or think for themselves?
That's definitely a risk, and I've seen it. I had a student who was so dependent on AI that when I asked him to explain his own essay in class, he couldn't do it. He had no idea what he'd written.
That's scary.
It is. But you know what? That's a teaching moment. That's when I pulled him aside and said, look, you can use AI, but you need to understand what it's saying. You need to make it your own.
How did he react?
He was actually relieved. He said he felt overwhelmed by writing and didn't know where to start, so he just let AI do everything. Once we talked about using AI as a helper, not a replacement, he started actually learning.
That's actually a really important distinction. AI as a helper versus AI as a replacement.
Right. And I think that applies beyond just education. People are worried about AI replacing jobs, replacing creativity, replacing human connection.
Which are valid concerns. I mean, there are already AI programs that can write articles, create art, even diagnose medical conditions.
True. But here's the thing. AI is really good at certain tasks, but it's not good at everything. It can generate text, but it doesn't understand context the way humans do.
Give me an example.
Okay, so I asked ChatGPT to write a sympathy message for someone whose dog died, and it wrote something perfectly grammatical and appropriate, but it felt empty. Like it was checking boxes, like express sadness, offer support, mention good memories, but there was no genuine emotion.
Because AI doesn't feel anything. It's just predicting what words should come next based on patterns it's learned.
Exactly. And that's fine for some things. If you need a formal email or a summary of an article, AI is great. But for anything that requires real empathy, creativity, or human judgment, AI falls short.
So maybe the question isn't, will AI replace humans, but what can humans do that AI can't?
I love that reframing. And I think the answer is humans can connect, empathize, create original ideas, understand nuance, and make ethical judgments.
All the things that make us human, basically.
Right. And maybe AI is actually pushing us to focus more on those uniquely human skills.
That's an interesting perspective. So instead of competing with AI, we should be developing the skills that AI can't replicate.
Exactly. Like critical thinking. AI can give you information, but it can't tell you whether that information is trustworthy or relevant to your specific situation.
Or creativity. AI can remix existing ideas, but it can't have truly original insights or make unexpected connections the way humans can.
Or emotional intelligence. Understanding why someone is upset, reading body language, knowing when someone needs support. AI can't do any of that.
So, in a way, AI might actually make these human skills more valuable, not less.
I think so. In fact, I've started incorporating this into my teaching. Instead of just asking students to write essays, I ask them to analyze AI-generated text and explain what's missing or wrong about it.
Oh, that's clever. So they're learning critical thinking by evaluating AI.
Exactly. And it's actually really eye-opening for them. They start to see that AI writing often lacks personality, makes subtle errors, or misses cultural context.
I love that. You're not fighting against AI, you're using it as a teaching tool.
Right. Because AI isn't going away. Our students are going to be using it in their jobs, in their daily lives. We need to prepare them for that reality.
But here's something that worries me. What about the digital divide? Not everyone has equal access to AI tools.
That's a huge concern. If some students have access to advanced AI tutors and others don't, we're creating an even bigger gap between the haves and have-nots.
Exactly. It's like when the internet first became widespread. Students who had computers at home had a massive advantage over those who didn't. And we're still dealing with that inequality today. So as AI becomes more prevalent, we need to make sure it's accessible to everyone, not just wealthy students or schools.
Otherwise, we're just reinforcing existing inequalities. That's really important to think about.
Definitely. And it's not just about access to the technology itself, it's about teaching everyone how to use it effectively.
Right, because just having access to AI doesn't automatically help you. You need to know how to prompt it, how to evaluate its outputs, how to integrate it into your work.
Those are skills that need to be taught. And right now, most schools aren't teaching them.
So we're kind of in this weird transition period where AI is everywhere, but education hasn't caught up yet.
Let's talk about the parent perspective for a second. I've had so many parents ask me, should I let my child use AI for homework?
What do you tell them?
I usually say it depends on how they're using it. If they're using it to avoid thinking, that's a problem. But if they're using it to help them understand something or to check their work, that can be beneficial.
I tell parents the same thing I tell students. AI is a tool. Like any tool, it can be used well or poorly.
A hammer can build a house or break a window, depending on how you use it.
Perfect analogy. And just like we teach kids how to use tools safely and effectively, we need to teach them how to use AI.
But I think there's also something to be said for learning to do things without AI first.
What do you mean?
Well, you need to learn basic writing skills before AI can really help you. If you don't know what good writing looks like, you won't be able to evaluate AI-generated text or improve it.
That's a really good point. It's like calculators in math class. Teachers want students to learn basic arithmetic before they start using calculators for everything.
Exactly. You need to understand the fundamentals first. Then AI can help you build on those fundamentals.
So maybe the approach is learn the basics the traditional way, then incorporate AI as you advance.
I think that makes sense. And honestly, that's kind of how we naturally learn most things. We start simple and then use more advanced tools as we progress.
Let's shift gears a bit. What about AI in language learning specifically? Because that's our field. And there are some really interesting AI language apps out there now.
Oh, yes. Have you tried any of them?
I've experimented with a few. There are apps now where you can have spoken conversations with AI in different languages. The AI plays different characters and scenarios.
That's actually really cool for practicing speaking. Because one of the biggest challenges for language learners is getting enough speaking practice.
Right. Not everyone has access to native speakers or conversation partners. But with AI, you can practice anytime, anywhere.
And the AI won't judge you or get impatient if you make mistakes.
That's huge. A lot of students are terrified to speak because they're afraid of being embarrassed. But practicing with AI can build confidence.
Although I will say there's something important missing from AI conversation practice.
What's that?
Real human connection. When you talk to a real person, there's emotion, there's unpredictability, there's genuine communication happening. AI can simulate that, but it's not the same.
Absolutely. AI conversation is like practicing tennis against a wall. It's good for building skills, but eventually you need to play against a real opponent.
Great analogy. So AI can be fantastic practice, but it shouldn't replace human interaction.
Agreed. And I think that's the key theme here. AI is a supplement, not a replacement.
It's a tool that can make certain things easier or more accessible, but it can't replace the human elements of learning, teaching, or communicating.
Let me ask you something, Rose. Do you think AI will ever be able to truly replace a teacher?
That's the big, scary question, isn't it? I honestly don't think so. At least not completely.
Why not?
Because teaching isn't just about delivering information. If it was, we could just give students textbooks and be done with it.
So what else is teaching about?
It's about understanding each student as an individual.
knowing that Sarah learns better with visual examples, that Ahmed needs extra encouragement, that Yuki is struggling with confidence.
Those are things AI can't really do, at least not yet.
Right. AI can personalize content to some degree, but it can't understand the emotional and psychological aspects of learning.
It can't give a student a pep talk when they're feeling discouraged. It can't celebrate their breakthrough moments. It can't build relationships.
Exactly. And honestly, those relationship moments are often what makes the biggest difference in a student's learning.
I completely agree. I had a student who was ready to give up on English. His grammar was improving, his vocabulary was expanding, but he felt like he wasn't making progress.
What did you do?
I pulled out his first assignment from the beginning of the course and compared it to his recent work. The improvement was massive. He just couldn't see it because he was too focused on what he still couldn't do.
That's such an important teaching moment. And that's something AI can't do, at least not in the same meaningful way.
Right. AI might be able to show progress metrics, but it can't have that emotional, encouraging conversation that changes a student's perspective.
So maybe instead of worrying about AI replacing teachers, we should think about how AI can free up teachers to do more of those human, relational aspects of teaching.
I like that idea. What if AI handles the repetitive, administrative stuff, grading multiple choice tests, generating practice exercises, tracking attendance, so teachers have more time for one-on-one student interaction?
That would be amazing, actually. I spend so much time on administrative tasks that could easily be automated.
Same. And imagine if AI could instantly analyze a student's writing and identify their specific weaknesses, so I could spend my time teaching them how to improve rather than just marking errors.
So AI as a teaching assistant rather than a teacher replacement?
Exactly. That feels like a much more realistic and positive vision of AI in education.
Okay, but let's play devil's advocate for a minute. What about the risks? What could go wrong with AI?
Oh, there are definitely risks. Privacy is a big one. These AI systems collect massive amounts of data about users.
Right. If students are using AI tutors, those companies know everything about what they're learning, their mistakes, their progress.
And who has access to that data? How is it being used? Those are serious questions without clear answers yet.
There's also the risk of AI being biased. AI learns from human-created data, and if that data contains biases, the AI will reproduce those biases.
I've seen this in AI writing tools. Sometimes they produce content that's stereotypical or culturally insensitive without even realizing it.
Because they're just predicting patterns based on their training data. They don't actually understand why something might be offensive or inappropriate.
So we need to be really careful about blindly trusting AI outputs. Just because something is generated by a computer doesn't mean it's correct or appropriate.
And that brings us back to critical thinking. Students need to be able to evaluate AI-generated content, not just accept it.
Absolutely. That's maybe the most important skill we can teach in the age of AI.
There's also the environmental cost of AI that people don't often talk about.
Oh, interesting. What do you mean?
AI systems require massive amounts of computing power, which means they use huge amounts of electricity and contribute to carbon emissions.
I didn't even think about that. So every time someone generates an AI image or has a long ChatGPT conversation, there's an environmental cost.
Exactly. It's not as simple as AI is free and unlimited. There are real-world costs, even if we don't see them directly.
That's definitely something to consider as we integrate AI more into education and daily life.
So where does all this leave us? What's the takeaway here?
I think the takeaway is that AI is neither a magic solution nor an apocalyptic threat. It's a tool, a powerful one, that we need to learn to use wisely.
And like any tool, it has benefits and drawbacks. It can help us or hurt us depending on how we use it.
Right. The key is being intentional about it, not just using AI because it's there, but thinking about when it's helpful and when it's not.
For students, that means using AI to enhance your learning, not replace it. Use it to understand things better, to practice, to get feedback, but don't use it to avoid thinking or learning.
For teachers, it means adapting our methods. We can't just pretend AI doesn't exist. We need to teach students how to use it responsibly and how to develop skills that AI can't replicate.
And for everyone, it means staying informed and critical, understanding how AI works, what it can and can't do, and thinking carefully about its impacts on our lives and society.
You know what's interesting? This conversation itself is a perfect example of what AI can't do.
How so?
We've been having a natural, flowing conversation with tangents, personal stories, disagreements, and evolving thoughts. AI can simulate conversation, but it doesn't think or feel the way we do.
That's true, and I think that's reassuring in a way. There will always be value in human connection, human creativity, human judgment.
AI might change how we work and learn, but it won't change what makes us fundamentally human.
And maybe that's the most important thing to remember. Technology changes, but human nature doesn't.
Well said. I think that's a good place to wrap up.
Before we go, let's give our listeners some practical advice. If you're using AI, and let's face it, most of you probably are, here are some tips.
First, always verify information. AI can sound confident even when it's wrong. Double-check important facts.
Second, use AI as a starting point, not an ending point. Let it help you brainstorm or understand concepts, but then do your own thinking and writing.
Third, be transparent. If you use AI to help with something, honestly admit it. There's no shame in using tools, but there is shame in pretending you didn't.
Fourth, develop your uniquely human skills. Work on creativity, critical thinking, emotional intelligence, communication. These are your competitive advantages.
And finally, stay curious. AI is evolving rapidly. Keep learning about it, experimenting with it, and thinking about its role in your life.
Perfect way to end. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today.
We hope this episode helps you see AI not as a threat, but as an opportunity, one that works best when used with thought and purpose.
Stay curious, stay confident, and keep learning with us.
See you next time on Learn English with Rose and Leo.